Großer Kurfürst. The H-class was a series of battleships designed for the Kriegsmarine, intended to fulfill the requirements of Plan Z in the late 1930s and early 1940s. Geopolitical conditions. In the second half of the 1930s, the geopolitical situation quickly deteriorated. The whole system of international agreements that restricted naval construction was collapsing. After Japan refused to sign the London Naval Treaty in April 1937, the United States claimed that the North Carolina-class battleships they were building would be armed with 406 or 16-inch guns. The High Command of Kriegsmarine gave the order to design new battleships for the German Navy that would be significantly more powerful compared to their Bismarck-class predecessors. Design requirements. During 1937, the main requirements for new battleships were developed. One of the key issues was to determine what the main battery was going to be like. Fleet representatives considered 406 mm to be the optimal value based on the information about the battleships of their potential adversaries. The engineers also insisted on the same caliber. Their suggestion was based on the possibility of building a balanced ship, the operation of which would not create many problems for the country's infrastructure. The new project was referred to as H39. Propulsion Plant. One of the tasks of future battleships was to maintain oceanic communications. The operational distance of these ships was of great importance, because refueling ships during raids was problematic. The maximum operational range without refueling was ensured by diesel propulsion systems, which Germany was exceptionally good at making. Having analyzed the drawbacks of diesel engines of Deutschland-class heavy cruisers, it was decided to install more advanced engines on H-class battleships with a power capacity of more than 150,000 horsepower. Ship layout. In search for the optimal ship layout, the most important thing was the artillery arrangement. Placing the main battery in triple turrets was gaining more and more supporters. Installing quad turrets looked very promising, as this allowed for reduced weight and space. But eventually, German constructors made their choice in favor of twin turrets grouped at the ends, as per the linearly elevated scheme. This scheme was developed during World War I and, according to fleet specialists, had undeniable advantages in gunfire control. Main battery. In 1934, Krupp developed 380 mm or 14.9-inch guns, which were no. Main battery. In 1934, Krupp developed 380 mm or 14.9-inch guns, which later became the primary armament of Bismarck-class battleships. This is when the design of the 406 mm guns of a similar construction was created. The experience gained when developing these guns was used to design H-class battleships. The turrets were developed simultaneously. The firing range, which a maximum turret elevation of 30 degrees and a shell weight of 1,030 kilograms or 2,000 271 pounds, was more than 36 kilometers, or 22.4 miles. Yet, by 1942, Krupp's company had more orders than it could handle and was only able to produce 3 406mm guns. Ship-based aircraft. In the 1930s, it had become obvious that battleships needed their own reconnaissance aircraft. Arado Models 196 was the main seaplane of the Kriegsmarine from 1939. This float monoplane, with a powerful armament, was actively used until the end of the war. The air group of Bismarck-class and H-class battleships comprised 4 Arado 196s. Several modifications of these aircraft were developed, including the hydrodynamic 196C, but none of them made it to the production line. Secondary armament. Apart from the primary armament, the artillery designs of the future battleships included a wide range of artillery systems, starting from 20mm or .79-inch anti-aircraft automatic guns. H-class battleships inherited a distinctive feature of Scharnhorst and Bismarck-class battleships, namely, powerful secondary guns represented by 12 149mm or 5.9-inch guns. They were developed in 1928 and became the base of the secondary armament of Kriegsmarine heavy ships. Armor protection. A lot of attention was paid to the ship's armor. In this case, many things were borrowed from previous projects, which in turn were based on design findings tested during World War I. Nonetheless, the armor layout of H-class battleships had its unique advantages. More powerful horizontal protection, an armor belt in the fore end plating, and additional traversal and fore and aft armor bulkheads. Laying down the ships. By early 1939, the High Command of the Kriegsmarine developed the so-called Plan Z, a large-scale shipbuilding program that would return Germany to the list of leading naval powers. 6 H-class battleships were among the ships that Germany planned to build, but only 4 shipyards in Germany were able to make hulls of that size. On July 15, 1939, the keel of the lead ship was laid down in the shipyards of Blohm und Voss Company in Hamburg. It was followed by 2 more in the Blohm and Kiel in September of the same year. New data. The construction of H-class battleships was delayed by the outbreak of World War II. The industry of Germany had to focus on other orders. This allowed to rework the project, taking the newly gained experience into account. The analysis of the damage dealt to Scharnhorst-class battleships by British destroyers and aviation showed that the horizontal and torpedo protection had to be improved. Studying the designs of French Richelieu-class battleships also provided food for thought, since their underwater hull protection was extremely well designed. Prospective armament. As the war continued, the science of engineering continued to move forward. The size and speed of aircraft continued to increase, which required more powerful automatic guns to oppose them. Installing secondary guns on battleships seemed like a waste of space and weight. These ships needed more powerful weaponry that could serve both as an anti-aircraft gun and a secondary gun. In response to such requests, in the early 1940s, a 128mm or 5-inch dual-purpose KM-41 gun and a 55mm or 2.2-inch automatic Gerät 58 gun were developed. They were intended to become the main anti-aircraft guns of the Kriegsmarine. Reworked project. Work on the project continued until 1944. Based on the experience gained in wars at sea, anti-torpedo protection and horizontal armor were significantly improved, which increased the ship's displacement. To preserve the speed characteristics, her diesel engines could be replaced with more powerful and compact ones. In order to improve artillery, it was decided to bore gun barrels of 406mm up to 420 or 16.5 inch. If the H-class was ever built, it would have been one of the most powerful ships in the world. Note, this was recorded on the 15th of November. This is a win, but this is also a major financial loss. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where the Kurfurst needs to be placed to get the most out of it, and how much attention I should get from it. So this falls into that early Shimakaze problem of know where and when to strike. Apart from that, enjoy.
Die Schlacht beginnt.
Gegnerische Streitkräfte entdeckt.
Zurück! Kommen Sie zurück! Get back! Alle Stationen, schützt das Ziel! Get back! Get back! Get back! Nice work!
Gegnerische Schlachtschiff gesichtet.
Wähle Position eines strategischen Ziels. Attention, reporting the target position. Союзники, сфокусировать огонь на цели. der Luft. Torpedos voraus.
Thank you. Kamerad, ich brauche Ihre Unterstützung.
Teammate, I need your support.
Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff gesichtet. Gegnerischen Zerstörer gesichtet. Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff entdeckt. Gegnerischen Kreuzer entdeckt. Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff gesichtet.
Torpedos voraus. Torpedos direkt voraus. Torpedos voraus.
Zerstörer entdeckt.
Katapultjäger kehrt zum Schiff zurück.
Gegnerischen Kreuzer entdeckt.
Feueralarm! Katapultjäger in der Luft. Torpedos voraus. Torpedos direkt voraus. Torpedos auf Steuerbord! Gegnerische Zerstörer gesunken.
Unser Team hat die Führung übernommen. Gefecht endet in 5 Minuten.
Katapultjäger in der Luft.